Hi, friends. How is everybody?
Are you in a car?
I am. I'm in my mobile office.
Awesome.
We ended up in a little bit of a childcare pickle with after school programs and stuff. So I'm sitting outside of daycare to pick up the kids when we're done. You just got to roll with it sometimes, right? I figured if there was anybody that would be agreeable to me doing this meeting in my car, and not like undermine my professionalism, it would be a group of youth ministers and youth workers, and parents and the like. So thank you for your grace.
Been there before. Yep.
Yeah, yes. It's so fun having met y'all that I actually get to put faces with names and stories and all sorts of stuff.
It was great having you here. I hope everything went smoothly with your travel back.
It was a dream of a trip. It was smooth sailing. Everything was on time. I even was given some extra cookies on the flight home. Those cinnamon ones from Delta. I'm into it.
Good. I'm glad it all went well. So
Yeah.
It was a busy couple days though. You guys were just running.
Yeah, we do. We pack it in on those assessments. The next ones are a little more quality time, but we had 15 different groups over the 4 days last week, and learned a ton. So we felt really good about the assessment process, that it was a thorough 360-degree view of the diocese. We met with the bishop earlier today to review our findings, and we're looking forward to presenting those on Thursday. So hopefully I'll have that on your calendars as well. It's 10 Eastern, 9 Central on Thursday morning.
Yep.
I'll even have a little PowerPoint to go along with the presentation. I won't do that one from my car. I sorry to disappoint you, but I will go to my desk. I know. All right, friends. So these monthly cohort meetings are a mix of both fellowship and connection and resourcing and equipping for ministry. So I want to turn this over to each of you and just sort of do we can call it a feeling check, if you will. We don't have to get all kumbaya, but would love to sort of know where you are professionally in your setting, what's going on. So we'll go around and do a sharing, just giving each person a turn, and then we'll do some crosstalk and conversation after that. How's that feel? It's good. Justin is nodding. So can I call on you first, Justin?
Oh, absolutely. Hi, I am Justin Sampson. I am here in Evansville, Indiana. I serve as the young adult and family minister, so I do everything from K all the way up to college. So I am on the University of Southern Indiana's campus, and I'm also the lead for our mission trip, the diocesan mission trip. How am I doing? This week is a very chill week. So here in Evansville, we have the Fall Festival going on, which is a cult classic. I've only been in Evansville for 3 years, but everyone here is obsessed with the Fall Festival. So everything pretty much closes down for this event. So, college ministry is at the Fall Festival, and high school ministry is at the Fall Festival, and middle school ministry is at the Fall Festival. So it's a pretty chill week, which is nice because the last couple of weeks were absolute just dumpster fire weeks. So yeah.
Speaking of dumpster fire, sorry to interrupt. Again, we're among safe space. So you guys have heard the expression a shit show, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, awkward to use that in formal meetings and things, right? Like it's not always appropriate. But a colleague of mine introduced me to a goat rodeo as the more like PC way of saying that without cursing.
Interesting.
So it sounds like your dumpster fire weeks were perhaps also a goat rodeo.
A goat rodeo, but I prefer shit.
Hey, I mean, to each his own. I'm not here to judge. I'm just giving an alternative.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy that fall festival. Excited to hear more about it. Anything else, Justin?
No, that's it from me.
So good. All right, pick on a friend. Not pick on. Select a friend to go next.
Well, Kelly is the next one in my square, so we'll get on with her.
Sounds good. Hi, so I'm Kelly. And for those of you who maybe weren't on the call last time or don't know, my role is as assistant for congregational development here at the Diocese of Indianapolis. So I do attend a parish here, but a lot of the reason that I'm on these calls is more so because of my role at the diocese. And I work for Canon Kristen, who is very much involved with this work with ministry architects and with getting our youth at the diocesan level going. So how am I doing this week? Things are a little bit busy. My son, who is in second grade, he's on his fall break. And so next week we're preparing to all take off work during his second week of fall break and go do a little travel and stuff. So this week's kind of crazy because I'm trying to stuff everything in before taking off. So there's that. Convention's coming up. There's a lot of work going on with convention. Yeah. And I just want to put in, Justin, it's nice to see you because I heard all about you with taking over the trip for next summer. And so it's good to have a face with a name because I've been seeing that pop up in emails and things. So yeah. Did I answer all the questions? I can't remember if I'm missing anything.
You crushed it. You did
Okay.
great.
All right, great.
Yeah. Call on a friend.
I'll call on Allison because she's already unmuted.
Yes, I am unmuted, which was rude because then my phone just went off, so I apologize. But it was my daughter. They don't get easier as they get older. My senior in high school just texted me that she forgot to get off work for her sister's choir concert tonight. So I will have to explain that one to the family. Other than personal, today's Tuesday. Sunday, I took 20 of my youth to Katiwi Park in Noblesville to do a ropes / zipline course. And I am so sore. I hadn't really planned to get up there, but the other chaperones,
right?
What?
You're at St. Christopher's, right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I am the
That's
youth
it. I want to make sure I remember that right. Great.
5th through 12th grade. Apologize.
Love it. Full-time, part-time?
Part-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I do a lot.
Yeah, I can tell.
So I'm very sore.
So sore.
So sore. But we were actually talking about Justin today in our staff meeting, not you specifically, but the trip. And so it was very interesting because Kara, our rector, was like, have you advertised to the youth about the pilgrimage this summer yet? And I said, I'm a little hesitant because I don't know if it's really going to go or not. And she said, well, it's an official like company. And but we've kind of gotten burned trying to do some stuff in the diocese in the past. And so I'm a little bit like anyway, I would love to go and take some kids. And this may not be the place to talk about it, but Justin, if you have time later.
Oh, I mean, I think this is a great place to talk about it, but yeah,
All
after
right.
everyone else is introduced, yeah.
Okay, well, Emily, you can be up next. And
I was gonna say, we'll keep going around. In the meantime, I'm dropping a link in the chat box that has the information that the diocese has already put out about it.
perfect.
Oh, good.
So listen with undivided attention to Emily first.
Right. Right. I had put that together because I had also emailed Justin. I was like, oh, I think I emailed you. I'm Emily Elam. I am at Trinity Bloomington and 3/4 time. And I do children and youth. So up to grade 12, basically. And I just incorporated the youth in the last year and a half or so. So it's not my wheelhouse usually, but I'm growing and stretching. So we just kicked off. We had a pretty good kickoff to our like family meals that we're doing for youth. We're doing it like at different parishioners' homes to try to get them to know the youth and likewise. So we had a good start to that on Sunday. So that was nice. But also, yeah, kind of planning, thinking about possible mission trip stuff, and then heard about the Dio and I was like, oh, maybe we should look into that. And we have some fall break next week I have a 9-year-old. And so also Kelly planning of like, okay, got to get my stuff done this week because I took some vacation days next week. So trying to plan ahead. So that's where I'm at. But would also love to talk more about the youth Dio trip.
So good. All right. Well, I just think it's helpful for everybody to have a chance to be seen and see others and land in this space, whatever we're bringing with us. And then that inevitably something bubbles up that's a pressure point for somebody. So I love that the conversation around the next summer's programming is happening, and that the leader of that trip happens to be here. So Justin, what do you want to tell us? And then let's just have some back and forth conversation about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to be able to put this together. So let me go a little further and introduce myself. So my background is actually not Episcopal. My background is, I'm kind of a mutt of religion. So I have been in non-denomination churches. I've been in mega churches. I've been in small churches, Lutheran, Christian missionary alliances. I've been through all of these different religions. And so I come out as more of a mutt. Like I'm kind of sitting here in the Episcopal, and I love everything about it. But I'm still more of a mutt background. It's hard to get rid of that. And so with that being said, the one thing I'm looking forward to the most with this mission trip is I am looking forward to the children and our students being able to have this time of reflecting with God, but also getting out of their comfort zone. Because here in Indiana, we don't have the most culture. We're predominantly white people, and especially in our church here in Evansville, it's all white, middle class. And so, when you're around that all the time, it's hard to kind of see anything else going on in the world. And so I'm excited to be able to go to New Orleans, to be in the super rich culture. So we're working with Wonder Voyage, and basically what they're doing is they're doing all logistics in the background. So I actually just got an email from my coordinator to kind of start meeting with her and talking more of the background logistics of what we want from this mission trip. And so the thing I love about her is basically I'm dialing everything in. So I'm saying, I want this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then she's going, okay, great. We can plan to have that in. We can plan to go to this place. I would love to go to some of the old cemeteries there and just, part of the pilgrimage. Now, there has been some pushback I have heard with the word pilgrimage and the word mission trip, and it kind of being back and forth. And so the reason I love this trip is it's both. It's both a mission trip and a pilgrimage. It's both a time for students to be able to serve. And with what they're doing in serving, it's able to actually have something work. Like instead of just going on a mission trip, helping out a food pantry and leaving, and then they kind of lose, what was the purpose of me going? Anyone could have done that. Like they actually have a purpose here, and it's actually meaning something here. And then it's also a pilgrimage part. It's a time to, there's a monastery down there, there's a cemeteries, time to go and reflect on God and go and find God there. And so I am excited about getting these two possibilities together. I don't know, what are some questions that you all have that I can talk more specifically on?
Ages, and I haven't looked at the link, so it may be that this is all information that I should have just from following your link, but since I have 5th through 12th graders, there was another mission trip about 3 or 4 years ago that would not take anyone under 14. And so I just, before I start telling families about it, I want to know who I'm including.
Yeah, this is a high school mission trip, and so we are talking freshman to high school. We can talk more. I mean, if you have, someone that's going to be going into freshman year, obviously we can invite them into this kind of mission trip.
Okay. So rising 9th graders?
Yes, rising 9th graders. Yep.
Through rising 12th graders.
Right.
Or we also have about 7 kids graduating this year. Is it?
Wow.
12th graders?
Yeah, 12th graders are in there as well. I'm gonna talk a little more to. It's a great question. I'm gonna talk a little more on to Kristen to kind of define. Are we talking about high schoolers that are leaving? that are invited to this. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. Like, this could kind of be a last hurrah for their high school ministry before they head off in the college world.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that, but I'll
Yeah.
double check with her on that.
I just do not want to give out. I don't want to raise hopes and dash hopes, or
Yeah, I understand that.
because
I
there's some
understand that.
families that couldn't do like EYE, but they might be able to do this because
Yeah.
EYE they're doing like near 4th of July.
It starts on the 4th of July.
Right. I'm just saying that there are a lot of families that aren't going to let their kids go because of the holiday.
Yeah, or they'll have other conflicting
And so
plans.
this is in June, if I remember correctly. And so some of the kids that are irritated with their parents for not getting to do the one, I don't want to be like, oh, you can do this, and then be like, oh, sorry, just kidding,
Yeah, I will contact her, and I have a meeting with her set up for tomorrow, and so I will ask specifically, and then we'll get that out in a blast as well with
I was
updates. We
gonna
also
say,
have.
since Kelly's here. I know Kelly's helping do some website updates. So when you have new information about that, Justin, Kelly, can you be the one to receive that and make sure we update the website?
Yep, absolutely. I've got the superpowers. I can put things on the webpage. So yep, happy to do that.
Yeah, because you're exactly right, Allie. A family's going to see that and wonder, does my kid fit? So let's give really clear parameters.
Well, and we have a lot of sibling groups. I don't know about your churches, but it's like I have quite a few that are going to have a rising 9th grader and a 7th grader, or they're going to have a rising 9th grader and a rising junior, or like if their parents are like, score, I'm going to send both kids. We get a free week, childcare, whatever. And then only one gets to go. Once again, I want to set expectations, which then brings the question of how many adults per kids are you wanting? I assume you want chaperones, yes?
Yeah, so that's going to be the next part that we're going to be going into here in a little bit. So we're finalizing some details, finalizing price, as well as anything else that we can do, any kind of discount, anything kind of way the diocese can help students pay for this if it's too much. And then the next part flowing into is we're going to be looking for volunteers. So we need about 3 volunteers for right now. So the idea is about 15 students, which I really hope we can blast past. Like if I have a problem of having to find a place for more than 15 students, I'm very happy about that. Like I'm really hoping we can get more than 15. But so right now, if we do have 15 students, we would need 4 chaperones. We're going to be taking 2 vans, so it would be 2 per van. That is the goal. So like I said, if we have more than 15, like if we have 20, 25, obviously we're going to have to adjust the volunteers for that, as well as the vans. But yeah.
That's awesome. Very exciting.
Can you remind me of the dates one more time?
Yeah, so the dates are June 3rd through the 11th. So we have the 3rd and the 11th are going to be travel days.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I am excited about this, and but yeah, I think we have, I want to say six 8th graders this year who will be rising 9th graders, and so and then like I said, we have 7 seniors, and so I don't want to tell the rising 9th graders or the graduating seniors they can go and then have to be like, oh, just kidding.
Yeah.
Now I don't know that all of them will go. I don't want 15 spot, but I don't want to encourage and then discourage. So thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I will look for updates.
Yeah, and that's a very important question. So I'm glad you brought that to our attention. That way we can get this dealt with and get this out and done ASAP.
Yeah. Have any of y'all been to New Orleans? Yeah.
Time ago. I think I might have been in high school when I went. So it's been a long time.
It's been a minute. Yeah. So good. Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable place. Right after Katrina, I went with a group, and then I went in I think it was 17. So years later, both were very different experiences, but very powerful. So it's a neat space for that. to be really effective. So thank you, Justin, for spearheading that and taking that on.
Absolutely. Emily, did you have any questions?
I think those covered it. I think I was wondering about price and kind of how many kids and things. And that previous email that we had talked about for leaving from Bloomington, like I said, we'll confirm that once Rev Matt's off vacation, but
Yeah.
I don't see why it would be a problem. We have like 0 parking pretty much though. So that's the only thing. So we might need to use the Methodist neighbor church who has
Gotcha.
a larger parking situation, but we can figure that out.
Yeah, we got time to figure that out.
And I wanted to throw in here too. So mentioning the web page. So I was like, I think I'm putting an update in there tomorrow. And I just double checked, and yes, I am. So I believe that the web page should be updated tomorrow, as well as an email that's going out to everyone who participated in the assessment from last week. That includes, I believe, a registration link. So if folks are ready to register and want to look at more information, then that should be available. Justin, does that sound right to you? Because I'm pretty sure that's going out tomorrow, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and I'm going to email you and Kristen, because I think that I would love to get an opinion on that and get that in the email, in that blast. So I'm going to send that out to you guys right now.
That'd be great. Yeah. So I don't have a specific time for tomorrow, but I'll wait until I hear from you then to make sure we're including everything that needs to be included there.
What is your email?
It's my last name, so Nickson, Nickson, at indiedio.org.
All right, I'll get that out.
Love it. And Justin, you may have already thought about this, but for people who are interested in this, they may benefit from like a information session, or like a just opportunity to meet you and talk to you and hear about it. So it may be that they're willing to sign up, that they're interested, but might hesitate to commit registration until they learn more. So as you finish percolating on some of these details, that might be something that you offer in the next month or so, of come meet Justin and some of the other leaders and learn about this opportunity. And so that just helps them make a informed decision with confidence.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on. As soon as we can get as many details as we can locked down, of just having Kate, we're going to come and have a Zoom meeting so we can all talk about this, and I can answer any questions, and we're not playing, email tag, phone tag, any of that stuff. Yeah.
Love it.
Well,
Love
if
it.
you would like, I will go. And then all the Hamilton County people already, I know other people from other churches up here too. So if you would like I'm happy to go.
That's awesome.
That would be amazing. Yeah, let's. I'll email you, and we can talk more on details with that.
And I have actually 2 high schoolers, so they can go too.
Yeah.
Guaranteed 2 registrations with an adult leader.
Allie, what's your email?
No, sadly, one is going to be a rising 9th grade, another one's a graduating 12th grader. So it really depends. I'll go no matter
So
what.
we need that might help determine the age bracket there.
I mean, I will go whether my kids go or not. I will help you with that. But because I think that we need it at the diocese, but it would be nice if my kids could go too.
That'd be perfect. Allie, what's your email?
It is youth@stchriscarmel.org. So YOUTH at Carmel, CARMEL.org. No punctuation, dashes, whatever. I almost spelled caramel, but I was like, that's not right.
It was going to be delicious though.
I know. I was ready for an apple for Halloween. I was all over that one.
That's so good. Oh, I love this. This is great. All right, so this is exactly what we're aiming for in this cohort, is a chance to connect with each other, do some shared experiences, resourcing, collaboration in general. And then we want to do some equipping as well, right? This is a group of tired folks who have been working really hard. How can we work smarter, not harder? What are some strategies we can use? So last month, I have you all write down 2 lists of things that you feel confident about that are going well, and a list of areas where you feel weaker or frustrated or are more challenging. So in a nutshell, you did your own little self-assessment now that you've seen our assessment process. And one of the common threads that showed up in the challenges thing is around communication. How do I contact people effectively? How do I let them know what's going on? People don't know what's happening. They seem confused and clueless, right? Like all of those kinds of challenges. I'm seeing nodding, so I'm guessing you all were some of the folks that provided that feedback. I got my cell phone blew up because I had y'all text me pictures of your notes, and then I didn't actually track very carefully whose number was which. So I can't even now go back and figure out who sent which. So it's like super anonymous, but based on your nodding, it sounds like that feels like something that's a hard spot. Is that right? Just how do we tell our story? How do we communicate? Awesome. Okay. So grab something around you that you can write on. Maybe bigger than a Post-it note. It doesn't have to be fancy. You're not going to have to share it with me. This is just going to be for you. So do it in whatever format feels good to you. If you want to do it on a screen on your computer, you can do that if you're a better typer than writer. But what I'd like you to do is, very often what we see with churches is they struggle with communication. And some of that is legitimate, and we can solve it with some new strategies and tools. And some of it is just perception. And so what I want you to do first is write down the ways that you share information going out about your ministry or what you're doing. Just make a list. So it might be email, it might be Facebook posts, it might be text messages. Just make a list of those, and when you're ready, give me a little thumbs up. Information going out. All right, I'll let you finish up that list. All right, if you keep working, keep going. Otherwise, next to those things, so draw like some kind of column here. In the second column, write the frequency that you use that format of sharing information. Daily, weekly, monthly. Some of it might be a rough estimate, so don't overthink it. Y'all with me? Ready to keep going? Okay. Draw another column line. And in your third column, I want you to see if you can sort of categorize the purpose of that communication tool. Is the purpose to communicate information? Like, we're having a thing at the ropes course, prepare to get sore, it's going to be fun. Are we blasting information? And is it, program based? Is it storytelling? Is it content for formation that might feed their soul? Kind of what's the purpose or the nature of the content? However, you can synthesize that in a way that you will understand. Add that in that third column next to those tools. All right, now I'm curious to hear what your initial thoughts are having done that exercise. Any ahas or realizations, or do you think I've lost my mind that I'm making you draw tables on papers and Word documents?
I find mine to be a lot of information filled. And as I was thinking, I used to do better communication with like Facebook and posters and things like that. And now it's mostly just emails and like newsletters. It's like, oh, I used to be better at the other kind, but I don't really do that much anymore. And I feel like I could improve on that. But some things have connection or formation aspects to them. I feel like I was a little better at that when we were doing the take home stuff during COVID. So now it's kind of shifted to information focused and stuff rather than the connection. So I can work on that.
That's great. Allie, what about you? What are you seeing on your chart?
Well, I've definitely noticed that a lot of my information, it falls into, there are several categories, but I either have information that's for youth and their parents, or I have things that I do for the congregation to be aware of what we're doing in youth to kind of justify our budget. And like we have quarterly newsletters and we have weekly announcements in the weekly news, and like back to school nights. And so, I mean, the way that I talk to the families that then engage with me. So I guess maybe engagement, communication, and then advertising almost. I'm not quite sure. Like we'll get some new families, or we'll get some grandparents that want their, grandkids to come while they're in town, or we talk about, what our formation topics are, versus when I actually talk to the kids and their parents, we have a Google group that everybody can share. It's like an ongoing conversation. I don't know if you guys have Google group or not. And so they can post pictures and we can put updates and we can do signups and we can do, whatever. And then, they're teenagers, they just really want to text. So there's a lot of texting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Justin, what about you?
Their parents love to text too.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much exactly what Allie was just talking about. Like there's, texting, we have Discord that is direct communications for our students. So Discord for our college students, texting for our high school students, texting their parents and whatnot, and then information going out that way. And then same thing. So we have the epistle, which goes out every month. And then I have in front of congregation kind of announcements, updates, basically same thing, justifying, why we're spending what we're spending, justifying why we're using as many resources as what we are, and just also getting our congregation excited about our college ministry and our high school ministry, middle school ministries. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now,
Kind
Kelly,
of texting. Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I just had a question. What kind of texting platforms do y'all use?
Mine is small enough that I'm just able to use my cell phone. I can just
Yeah.
text them. I mean, we have 3 families in ours. So we have, 8 kids out of 3 families. So I'm able to just text the families. But I've used Hootsuite in the past, which is a really good tool to
Which
send
one?
out. It's called Hootsuite. I think it's Hootsuite. It's been a while since I've used it. But that one it'll send out text messages. You can also send out, Instagram information, tweets if your students are, no one does, that, but you can send out basically a large blast on different social medias.
We also tried Remind for a while, but Remind, REMIND, but it's had such limited characters that really all I was doing is putting together links to other things that then they'd have to click on, and then they wouldn't, it was too many steps. So they really just text my phone.
That's great.
That is the limit to Hootsuite too, is you only have a certain amount of characters. Although for me, it has made me realize that I have been texting too much to families, and I need to make it more brief and, less paragraphy and booky. And here are some of just the fine note details of, hey, we're going out on this time. This is when we're going to come back. Send your student out this much money. This is what we're going to do. And that's it. And then if they have additional questions, then they can text me personally.
That's great. Kelly, what about in your setting? I saw you were participating. I saw you taking notes.
Yes, but I know my situation is much different than others on the call, of course, with the kind of role that I'm in. So I'm not directly communicating with any teenagers or any parents as the rest of you are, but the vast majority of my communications are really focused on logistics and details, and not a whole lot that's anecdotal. I think that was the thing that came away for me was, wow, none of these ways that I'm reaching out to people really involve a lot of storytelling. And maybe there's room for that. Maybe there's space for that in the kinds of things that I work on. Being less focused on the nitty gritty, like here's the registration, here's the details we need, here's all of this. And I could word vomit all day about all the details and things that help make things function. But without stories, without anecdotes, without that personal connection, it might not be meaningful communication, because people may not know who I am or may not know why it matters. So that was kind of my aha moment as I was going through, like, wow, I communicate and I use a lot of these, but it's really just info and logistics. It's not much else. And I could do better on that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you guys are doing a great job sort of recognizing where we at. I love the sound that you are utilizing a variety of tools. So multiple platforms is great. I hope we didn't ask about it, but I hope the frequency is varied a little bit too. Like there might be something predictable. I'm hearing a quarterly newsletter or a weekly, monthly epistle. I think you said, Justin, some sort of like predictable thing that they know to anticipate, as well as the sort of infrequent things or the casual, quick, last minute type stuff as well. So the variety of tools, the variety of frequency, those are helpful things. But when it comes to the purpose and type of it, this is a space where a lot of ministries have room for a deeper impact. So it's like Kelly said, what she's doing is so classic, right? Like we've got these programs coming up. I need to tell them this is the registration, da, 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 da. Here we go. When we think about our families and the perspective and their situations that we're in, they have lots of competing things. So if our content adds to the noise, but doesn't paint the picture of why then we are putting ourselves in a position of competing with all the other things. But if we can present the why with very helpful, clear instructions and details and how to enter, and can my rising ninth grader participate when they say high school, right? Those are all of the things that cause somebody to pause and be confused. But if we can present those with a compelling why, that's the good news the church has to offer that sets us apart from all the other things. We're not going to get rid of Boy Scouts. We're not going to get rid of travel, soccer, right? Like those are competition things that are going to exist. They don't offer the hope of the resurrection either, right? So when we present the why behind a mission trip, it's more than just a fun trip, right? They can do a fun trip with their friends, and many of them are, you know, privileged enough to be able to do that and might be doing it 2 other times that summer. But if we explain this why is a place where you can live out your baptismal covenant and utilize the gifts that God has given you and discover, you know, potentially where God's calling you to go with that, that is a different invitation. And that conversation reaches at what people are craving. So what I'd love for you to think about is in your communications, without totally changing the columns A and B, how can we bolster them in a way that intentionally addresses the why? That's where we'll start managing and kind of painting the picture of the impact of this. It makes it, instead of a logistical decision, an emotional one and a value one. Oh, wow, we really want our kid to have an experience living in intentional community with others for a week and understanding, you know, how to live together, how to work hard all day and wait in line for a bathroom take a shower. Like those are character building moments that don't always happen. So little things like that are very helpful to convey, and especially for repeated announcements. It's October 4th. This mission trip is not till June. We need to announce it now and push it hard, right? Get it on people's calendars. If we have the same blurb each week for the next 8 weeks, they're going to tune it out. But if we have the same logistical stuff with a new why at the top, it's a fresh thing, and we're adding to the conversation and we're giving them new information. Oh, wow, I hadn't actually thought about this thing that Justin announced as well. So little things like that can really change the impact of our communications in a way that doesn't have to be a complete overhaul. And this goes beyond the mission trip. Like if you think about whatever you're trying to promote, I mean, thinking like even a confirmation process. What is confirmation? Why do we do this? As opposed to, here's the parent information session you can come to sign up to learn about it, you know, but to plant the kernels. This also gets at what some of you already talked about. We have our audience and we have the like observers. Sorry, I keep doing this with my hands with like columns and I feel very constrained in my car seat here. So I'm just going to sit on my hands for a second. So I stop talking with them. But now I'm going to use my head. This is not going well. The idea though is I'm just going to keep using my hands, deal with it. If you've got your primary audience, thank you, Allie, primary audience that you're speaking to, and then you have your observers, right? The rest of the congregation, they need to know what's happening. So doing your communication more broadly helps them engage in the young people in your church. Telling them the story, the why, is what they care about, honestly. So when you start adding that in, you're going to bolster broader understanding and awareness of the youth ministries than just the families that you're serving. that bolsters a healthier dynamic across the church, because we don't want our children and youth ministries to be this one-eared Mickey Mouse, is what we call it, sort of isolated and set aside from the, the one ear up here is the children and youth, and then the mouse is the rest of the congregation. So what I would encourage you to do, and I'm actually going to give you 5 minutes right now to do this. Look at your little map that you've just created, and I want you to think about the next month. What are the communications you have coming up, and kind of make yourself a communication calendar. I want to sit here, and I'm literally going to set a 5-minute timer so you can sketch this out. It's probably not going to be perfect. You're certainly not going to finish it in this time, but I want you to start thinking through it so that when you get stuck on a question, we can be here to discuss it together and do some problem solving together. But what are the tools you're going to use to communicate? What's the frequency that you're doing them? You might even want to map this out like on a 4-week calendar grid now, instead of just as a chart. But you could say, in this week, these are the things I need to announce. This week, these are the things that I need to announce. How can I add in a little nugget of formation? This week was the blessing of the animals. Do we want to add in a little thing about St. Francis? Is that a big deal to your congregation or not? I don't know. Is there a baptism coming up? Maybe you can talk about a little bit about baptism. There's going to be this thing, or there's no youth group today because there's a baptism party in the fellowship hall. This is why this matters to us as well, as opposed to just being disrupted from our space. So take a second, try to map out 4 weeks of what your communications are and how you can add in the why to what you're posting, announcing, bulletins, even in a text. How can we be more prayerful in our texting? Episcopalians are not always the most confident in our faith talk, right? That's sort of a, uncomfortable area to go for some people. So in the text, how could we finish with saying, hey guys, how can I be praying for you this week? What's coming up that we can be lifting up to God in our prayers? Things like that. So clear on what you're tasked with doing? Feel free to turn off your screen if that's uncomfortable. I'm just going to sit here in my car. I'm here for it.
I forgot to mention that I need to go, so I will do this later.
Great. She's skipping out early.
Well, I got to get to my handbell choir rehearsal, so
Go do it. Ring
it's the
those
Lord's
bells.
work.
Make a joyful noise. Thanks
I
for
will.
coming, Emily. Next month, November. What's the date?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Maybe.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Something like that. The 3rd. Yes. Bye, Emily. All right, the rest of you, I'm here for you. Have at it. You got 30 seconds, folks. I told you I'd set a timer. Ready? Ooh. All right, Justin, how was that for you?
Well, it's interesting because for the high school, middle school, that aspect of things, I've really so basically when I got here, there was none. COVID pretty much wiped out any kind of youth ministry. So it was really starting from scratch. And by starting from scratch, I mean it's Holly, our rector's kids, and our administrators' kids. So it's really easy to communicate with them. And I know that they're going to be at events. But it was a good thing to think about for our college students on the why and the getting them, maybe more excited and maybe a little more details other than just, hey, there's this event, come hang out with us. Maybe more of a, hey, there's an event, we're going to do this so we can be closer to each other, we can learn about ourselves more, we can learn about God better, and we can have a deeper relationship with each other. So something like that was as it's making me think about how I'm communicating with them.
That's great. And it's subtle, right? Sometimes like we're not talking about huge things, but when we insert it or omit it, it conveys a very different message.
Indeed.
That's
Yep.
great. All right, Allie, what about for you?
I like it. I think that I send out several emails, but I also put stuff in we have a weekly newsletter that goes out every single week. And I put in stuff like Old Testament, John, like now the kids know we're doing more than that, but putting more of a why into that. So then maybe some of the kids that don't come, maybe it would be more interesting, or maybe it would spark a question or a discussion or something. And then I think that I need to pare down more, like Justin was saying, not write novels in my emails to my families. But I think that if I put in some sort of a thought-provoking question, sentence, something, and then I did more of a bullet point of the information so that they weren't having to wade through my prose, because I always want to say everything. But perhaps paring down and what I do right, make it a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah. That's great. Nice. Kelly?
I think as I was going through, so I was looking at like communications that I knew I'd be sending out this week, and then in a couple of weeks when I return back from my time off. And with each of those types of communication, I was thinking about like, what could I include with that to make it more of a story as opposed to just an informational type of thing. So that was helpful. One of the big things that I do is safe church trainings and communicating those kinds of things. And one of the things that I know I'm going to be sending out soon is information about some group Zoom trainings. And so I hadn't even really thought about like, it's really important for people to know, like, why the heck we even make them do all these hours of safe church training in the first place, because it is a big ask. And I know that it can be, pretty time consuming for folks to take the time to do these, but there is definitely like an importance with our baptismal covenant, as far as like, when we say our baptismal covenant, like we're promising to look after each other and be a community, and that's part of what this training is for. And so so I think that was really helpful to know that like when I'm sending those things out, don't just put like, hey, here's the Zoom link, hey, sign up for this day, but also, hey, this is something that we agree to anytime that we, stand up at a baptism and read through these things. And this is really, truly important. And we're grateful to you for doing it, but please know the significance of it as well. So yeah, there's that. And then also with convention planning, I think that there's the attention to detail is and the making sure that things are welcoming for everyone who would want to attend. To me, that's a love thy neighbor kind of thing. And so, I mean, just having that attitude about it, or including that in communications of how do we love our neighbor well as we're planning this? How do we make this welcoming and inclusive? I think is a good thing to include in those communications too.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are quick on this. You'll figure it out. So I encourage you to kind of keep that why in your messaging. And as you're looking at what you're doing, it is worth the 30 minutes it'll take you to map out your communications for the month, and even give yourself a scheduled deadline so that 2 weeks before an event, you're doing the final push. 6 weeks before an event, you're, making personal invitations, right? All too often, we're very passive in our communication efforts. And if we're a little bit more intentional about mapping out the plan and then following it, the impact that we have is the reach is so much broader just by that. So with that in mind, I would encourage all of you to reach out to your colleagues with personal invitations. That is by far the best invitation and form of communication is personal contact. So we've got two things. On Thursday, Ministry Architects will present our assessment. Whether they participated in the process or not, it will have an impact on the diocese moving forward. So inviting them to be a part of that, or at least paying attention to the results, the report will publish afterwards so they can read that. And then the second thing is invite them to join us to this Zoom training cohort on November 3rd. Based on the list of things, how to recruit and equip volunteers is another thing that we saw a lot about. Does that feel like something? I'm seeing quick nodding. Okay. So I intend for that to be the topic of next month. So Kelly, if you could actually add that into the website, you can remove these past, this October one, and say that it was about communication and learning strategies to more effectively, whatever, add a little one-liner in there that it happened and what we covered. And then also say that next month will be about equipping and recruiting volunteers. Yes. So yeah, if you help communicate those things, then we're sharing our reach here. And I hope to see you all on Thursday when we go over the assessment report. But is there someone who would like to say a closing prayer for us as we go our separate ways this evening? Allie's yawning, so I'm going to call on her.
All right. The Lord be with us.
And also with you.
Thank you for bringing us together so that we can better serve you, spark our creativity so that we can share your love, and work together so that we feel that we're all part of God's community doing his work. Help us find patience and love and strength as we go forward with our mission. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, folks. Blessings on your work, and we'll see you soon.
All
Next time.
right. Good
Sounds
week.
great. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Bye,
Thanks.
y'all.
Bye.